It is the end of another day, and I am so glad that you decided to join me. I'm going to talk about the Manhood book that we have gone through some with Senator Josh Hawley, The Masculine Virtues America Needs. I'm going to smoke a cigar. I'm going to share with you some personal stories and hopefully challenge you. And I just want to say thank you so much for joining me tonight. When I was a teenager, I had to replace the brake pads in my car. And I am not a mechanically gifted individual. I don't claim to be. You've heard my stories about some of the challenges that I've had, like drilling through my finger. So the idea of replacing my brake pads seemed way beyond my capacity. But I also found out that I had to replace the master cylinder, which controlled the brake fluids through the lines to the brakes. So it was a massive endeavor. Well, thankfully, I had a buddy of mine who could do work. And I really applaud him. I don't know if he was as mechanically gifted as I gave him credit for, but he was up for the challenge. And that's the key, up for the challenge. So he lived up on top of this mountain. We live in Tennessee, and the winding roads to get up there were crazy. So I didn't need my brakes to get up, so of course I drove up. But I knew I would not make it back down. So it was a do or die type situation with the brake pads and the master cylinder. So we got under the car. We did what we needed to, popped the hood, replaced the master cylinder, bled the lines, got the brake pads on, did everything. And the moment of truth came when we had to leave. We started out very carefully. And if you've ever done any work on something that you are unsure of your work, you're so cautious. So the very first corner that we turned, where I had to put on the brakes, I paused, waiting to just go careening off of the edge. But thankfully, it worked. And the brake pads worked. The master cylinder worked. It was 1,000 times better than it was before we did the work. And it was not only rewarding to be able to drive around wherever I wanted to, but there was something within me as a man. I was a young man, 17, but as a man, to know that I had done something. I had manually been involved in changing something, in replacing something, in repairing something, in building something back, because it was essentially building the vehicle back together. Mechanics out there who are watching are laughing at me, but it was a big, big deal for me. And I say that to say, has there ever been a moment in your life where you have done something that has caused you to just stand up a little bit straighter, to push your shoulders back, to hold your head up high? There's something so valuable in being able to look at your work and see what you've done and know that you can accomplish things. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It can be small things. Usually what happens as we grow as men is it starts in the small things. And, it's a dad, it's an uncle, it's a brother, it's a friend who comes out with you and you work on something together. And there is just something so rewarding from doing that. Do manual labor. I don't know why that is something that I've never really made that connection before, but manual. Don't know why. Just for some reason it clicked just now as I was saying it. Manual. Man. You all. Oh, man, you all. Let's do some work. Sounds nice, doesn't it? It's usually what I do whenever I burp, so it's not real, real loud. Used to be really, really loud burper. I actually had a lady. I wasn't going to tell this, but I had a lady at work who sat behind me, and she emailed me. We were in a call center, and she emailed me. Or Skyped me. She Skyped me. She looked up my name because my name was on the top of my computer. And she Skyped me. I'd never talked to her before in my life. And she messaged me. She goes, "Must you burp so loudly and so frequently in such a manner?" And I took a screenshot. And sent it to my boss. I said, "Hey, am I okay to respond to this? Because my response may or may not be the nicest." Sorry, I had a bug on me. my response may or may not be the nicest. And he said, yeah, go ahead. And so I said, I'm sorry, I actually have severe acid reflux. So I apologize that the sound has been a nuisance. I will attempt to bring down the level of my belches. And so that's where that burp and then the release comes from. A little tidbit you didn't think you were going to get tonight, did you? Full of surprises, this guy. Full of surprises. Well, in the book, Manhood, how do I want to start this? I think is this going to block? It's not going to block the audio, is it? I don't block it? No. Well, in the book Manhood, Senator Josh Hawley says, the truth is that manual work has become less and less valued in our society, not least because the elites who set the cultural tone largely disdain those who work with their hands. The media regularly admonishes school children to go to college precisely to avoid the kind of labor that I just talked about. The tech startup wizard and the Wall Street maven are liberal culture's beau ideals. Don't believe me? Just look at the main characters on television sitcoms. You'll be hard-pressed to find a many blue-collared worker. These masters of the universe have advanced degrees and sit in an air-conditioned office and make, in pop culture mythology anyway, massive sums of money. That is what today's elites tell our children to aspire to. Those who don't want that life or don't have the degrees have watched their work prospects steadily dim over the past 5 decades as more and more blue-collar jobs have disappeared overseas or been simply eliminated. In their stead, our political leaders offer government benefits, welfare dependency, basically. Dependence is in fact a temptation to every man in every age. It is the temptation to let someone else do it for you. Let someone else plan your future. Let someone else provide. Let someone else take the risk. Let someone else take the responsibility. The antidote to dependence is building. The antidote to passivity is work. And work is, according to the Bible and the Western tradition, it defines an invitation that speaks to every man. It is an invitation to do what every man wants to do, matter, in the most lasting way possible. The Bible celebrates the value of work and the character of men who did it in the story of David, whose life followed some centuries after Joshua and the Battle of Canaan that we heard about. What we learn from David as a builder is this, that a man is born to work and to acquire the character that working brings. This is no small thing. If done humbly and well, work can make the world what it was meant to be. And I cannot agree more. There is something so satisfying, and it builds you up when you are building something. So I'll ask you this: what are you building? Are you building anything? Are you actually going out and doing something? Are you putting your hands to work? There is something that is truly rewarding. I know I live on an acre, and I've got a lot of brush and everything. And even just the simple fact of gathering up sticks and twigs and chopping down some small trees that are growing or dying, and working on building a fire and burning it. I talked about the fire that was going for 4 days. There's something that just resounds within me of satisfaction and fulfillment in doing something and manually doing something. I'm raising my children as well, and there is a lot of manual labor that goes into raising children, and it's not something that I look at with contempt. I'm not frustrated about it. There are times that I am frustrated, but ultimately I am excited about the idea that I'm building a life that will carry on the things that are important to me, that I will help instill in them, principles and values and ways of going about life that are near and dear to my heart. Now, they're going to be their own individual, so I'm not trying to make them be an exact replica of me, but I'm building something that matters. So what are you building? I would love to hear about it. I hope that you enjoyed this time. I hope that you got something out of this. If you are not subscribed to the channel yet, I would greatly appreciate if you would consider subscribing. If you liked the content, please give me that thumbs up. If you liked it enough, please share it on social media. If there's anything that stood out to you tonight that you liked, that you didn't like, that you would like to add to what I said or just bring up for discussion, please put that in the comments. And as always, if you are in the Lebanon area and would like to join me, I would love to share a cigar with you and change the world.